Hello, welcome to the video. This is part 2 in my ranking series for the Jurassic World Evolution 2 roster. And yeah, it's going to be a good video today. Hopefully, hopefully it's like a decent video. Would be ideal. But yeah, anyway. I would like to apologize for the lack of uploads. Pretty tired recently, but I am feeling a little bit better, so I'm going to be doing some more hopeful uploads. So yeah. But anyway, we'll get down to it, shall we? Right. So we start off in the D tier. So last time we looked over the F tier creatures, and now we're starting off in the D tier. So we are going to start off with the Sauropod. So the Sauropod, it's quite an interesting creature for me, because, sorry, I just had to sign my headset. I have never been crazy on the Sauropod design. I always thought it looked a little bit weird. The skins are better, but, like, they were never any good in the first place, and they aren't still very good. I think the pattern's really boring, like on the shoulder spikes, it looks pretty bad. Bland, it's just really bland, and yeah, I never go, oh, you know what will help my park? The Sauropod. I always go like, maybe a Polycanthus will probably be my first choice for Nodosaurid, maybe Nodosaurus, but yeah, I never go Sauropod. Which I'm sorry, Sauropod, but you're just not that interesting, so, yeah, I'm sorry, Sauropod, but yeah, moving on. Number 2. Alright, so my least favorite, So my least favorite sauropod in the game is Camarasaurus. It's not because necessarily I think it doesn't fill a niche. Actually is in a niche which I want more of. For instance, like a sauropod which isn't like as big as the Brachiosaurus, but that neck going upwards, which we don't have anything else in the game like. But I don't love it. I liked it better in the original, I'll be honest, but I really don't. I've never really liked the head. I think the head always looks a bit weird. Yeah, and I'm just like, it's not that great. I don't really like it. Personally, the teeth look kind of weird. It just doesn't feel like a sauropod I would ever use unless I had to. Like, maybe, just maybe, I might use it to fill out, like, a park just a little bit more, but I'm never going to be like, oh yeah, you know what would look really good in here? A Camarasaur, Anyway, moving on. My second least favourite, Aquatic. Now, I'll be honest, I liked the Liopleurodon more when we didn't have Chronosaur. Because Chronosaur is just so much better than Liopleurodon in every way that it makes Liopleurodon so much more redundant than it should be. Unfortunately, I'm not crazy on the design with it. Okay. I'm not crazy on the design at all. I don't think it was ever that great. Don't really like the neck beard down here. I don't think that looks good. It's not bad necessarily, and I don't mind it, but I am not really much of a fan of it. And compare this to the Chronosaur. One is easily better, and one is more high quality. And yeah, I like the best part about this thing though is 100% the X animation. That is a really cool X animation, but the X animation probably did help it, but it didn't help it to the point where I could put it higher than D tier, because it is at the end of the day for me a D tier creature. You know, it's not one I go like, oh yes, I need to use the live pleurodon. No, that's never what I do. Anyway, moving on. Number 4 in terms of the D tier. Now, for me personally, the ceratopsids in this game either stick and I really like them, or I never like them. And Sinoceratops is one of those ones where I've never really liked it. It probably, to be fair, did better in the original game for me, because I prefer the I don't know, I kind of like how it was, I think it was probably because Pachyrhinosaurus is in the game now, and Pachyrhinosaurus is really nice, and I think Pachyrhinosaurus has kind of overthrown some of the originals. Like, for instance, Pachyrhinosaurus for me is probably like a B or an A, and Sinoceratops is like a D. And it really puts into perspective the fact that, it's not the greatest creature. I don't mind it, and I think some of the skins are pretty cool. I really like the pattern on the crest. I think the crest patterns are definitely better. I think the skins are better. But I don't love the design. It looks a bit like a weird hippo with a horn, and I don't like the holes in the frills. And it's not entirely Frontier's fault, because I don't like the Sinoceratops design in general. But at the end of the day, I don't mind it because it does fill out the roster. But I'm never going to go like, you know what, I want to use a Sauropod. I know I've said that a lot, but it's legitimately true. Like, I'm never going to go, oh yeah, I'm going to use a Sauropod. Anyway, moving on. This one might shock you. So my problem with the plesiosaur is one simple problem. I personally do not like the design at all. I like the body. I think the body's cool. I don't love the tail, but the body's nice, like if you look at it like from up here, that looks pretty cool, right? And then for some reason they made it like a snake, which just doesn't look that good. It looks kind of weird. Like, I like everything else about it, maybe except the tail, but I just don't like that face, and it really just brings the creature down, in my opinion, because the skins are cool. The skins are really good. Like, the skin pan is really cool, you've got that nice, run, like the other pan running down his back, but it gets really let down by the, face, unfortunately. It does look cool when it's opened its mouth, though, I'll give it that. But yeah, it just it just doesn't look that great, unfortunately. Anyway, moving on. This one might be a bit controversial. Oh, okay. That is a cool skin, actually. I'm not gonna lie. Like, that's pretty cool. That's the skin systems for the most of it have been greatly improved. Actually, I think that looks best on this one because it fits in here. The skins on the Ankylosaur are easily so much better than they were in the original. They were all really just kind of, they didn't look good. Mostly, I did like the rainforest one because I thought it looked pretty decent, but they are easily better in this game. But it's not Frontier's fault in any way. I've just never liked the Ankylosaur design. I just don't like how it look. I guess because Uplo is in the game, I much prefer the more realistic looking Ankylosaur over, the Jurassic Park kind of versions. I obviously love that club. The club is cool, but I don't love the this kind of plates. Like they're kind of scoots and not really, just giant pieces of armor, and which I don't really like. I'll be honest. They do decently because the skin systems have improved, but and again, it's not Frontier's fault. I've just never liked the Jurassic Park version of the Ankylosaur, even though the Jurassic Park colors are alright. I'll give the Jurassic Park colors some credit; they're alright. Anyway, moving on. Now, unfortunately for Chasmosaur, I actually do think it looks better than it did in the original. For me, 100%. The colors are better. The the crest patterns are better, and it's cool because it's a little bit smaller, which is probably more accurate, to be fair. But it still doesn't help from the fact that I've never really loved the Chasmosaur design. Don't get me wrong, it's not bad, but it's not good in my opinion as well, and that's the problem. Like, I would use it over the Sinoceratops. I would use it over, the Pseudoceratops or Torosaur, but I wouldn't probably use it over most ceratopsids. It's the middle ground ceratopsid for me, because I like it, but I don't at the same time. Some parts of it I really like the pattern is really cool, especially on this one right here. So that fire orange looks really cool. But unfortunately, the Rana pattern is really, I don't like the Rana pattern on this guy. I really don't like it. But I mean, look at this right here. It literally looks a bit like a toy on how yellowy it is. I like that. Well, not too much, but it looks pretty cool. And this pattern's pretty cool as well. But at the end of the day, Snake has to be in the D tier. And for Chasmosaur, it is unfortunately it. So there's not much I can do about that, I'm afraid, Chasmosaur. Anyway, moving on. Now, the problem with Tylosaur, for me, is quite easily the skin. No, I'm just kidding. Obviously, the main problem with Tylosaur is the fact that, for me, if you compare this design to the one in Jurassic Park the game, one is substantially better. Like, just substantially better. Now, the problem with Tylosaur is, in my opinion, the mouth. I just don't like it. It looks really weird. It's got like knobbles all over it, and it kind of just stops. Like here, for instance, that looks pretty cool, right? Then once you go to the top, you're like, oh god, It looks decent, but I'm never gonna go like, what would really help my park? A Tylosaur Lagoon. Like I'd probably just go Chronosaur Lagoon or something like that, because it's just the cooler, and it can't eat from a shark feeder, which brings it down even more, because it's probably taller, well not taller, but it's longer than the Tylosaur, and yet it can't eat from the shark feeder, which is very weird. Yeah, it just, no. But did I say Tylosaur, by the way? Sorry, Chronosaur. Yeah, I just, it's not my cup of tea personally. But you know, if someone likes any, I'd just like to point this out again. This list is entirely controversial. Your favorite might be down here, and if you like your favorite and you think it's the best thing in the game, that's perfectly fine. You're fine to have your own opinion. This is my personal opinion, so don't come at me. Right? Alright, moving on. I feel like I shouldn't need to say that, but I have to, unfortunately. Moving on. Oh, you guys fighting? Alright, calm down. So the Nigersaur, the main problem with the Nigersaur is, oh yeah, by the way, here's that fucking thing. So the pattern on the Nigersaur is very weird because it really doesn't show up too much on the head, and then this one really shows up on the head. Like it's kind of there, but it's not. But I just like to point out because I find that really weird. But the main problem with the Nigersaur is pretty clearly kind of the fact that we've got a Margosaur now, and a Margosaur just looks better. And poor Nigersaur gets a little bit overthrown by a Margosaur. Now, like for instance, Nigersaur, you know, it filled a spot in the game for a while, and then once Margosaur came in, it kind of fell flat because Margosaur's the better designed, if we're being honest. I like the I like the Nigersaur in certain bits. I like the uniqueness, but at the end of the day, it's a lot less cool than the Amargasaur. I'm sorry, Nigersaur, but it's just true, unfortunately. And, you know, it does make me feel a bit bad for being into the dinosaurs, but something has to go down at the bottom, you know. It's unfortunate, but it's true. Now, moving on. I think this is the first Stegosaur. It is the Trunkinosaurus. Now, I've always had a bit of a resentment towards Trunkinosaurus, but I've always loved the Stegosaurid group. It's my favorite, one of my favorite groups of the dinosaurs in general, with like sauropods and things like that. And that's kind of a bit of my own personal bias. Why? I like putting up. There's quite a lot of the Stegosaurids will be quite high, compared to like for instance the Ankylosaurs, which have some in well, to be fair, Ankylosaurus doesn't have some, but like for instance, for me, I love the Stegosaurids, and in the original, Chunkingosaurus was always my least favorite. In terms of design-wise, in terms of skin-wise, it had a pretty cool jungle skin, but that was about it. I think the Aradon was alright as well. But the Chunkingosaur never really felt a niche for me, and it does a little bit now. And I think the size change was really good for it because it helped it feel a bit more unique. And it probably would be an F tier because I'm not crazy on the design, but I've come to like it more. I like the shoulder spikes. I like kind of I don't love the shoulder spikes. I love the spikes though. I think the spikes are really cool. Going like that. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's never really ever been my favorite, or like at least an intermediate Stegosaurus. It's always been my least favorite. Like, and then Kentrosaurus was like after it, but Kentrosaurus has done better in my opinion. So yeah, but you know what? Trunkingosaurus has done better than he would have in the original, so you know, give him that. Anyway, moving on. This one might be slightly controversial, but I don't know. I do like that trumpet call. But the Dreadnoughtus, in my opinion, the sauropods in this game are very interesting because 3 of them, in terms of the large sauropods anyway, 3 of them I'm not crazy on. I'm not going to go into names, but you already know 2 of them. And then 3 of them I really like. And then for small sauropods, 1 of them I really like and 1 of them I don't really like. Which you probably know the one I don't like and the one I like, because there really is nothing else it could be at this point. But yeah. The Dreadnoughtus is good, but the Dominion version looks cooler. The skins aren't necessarily that interesting. The cool is the redeeming quality, but aside from the cool, it doesn't look kind of that nice. It doesn't really fill a niche that's already been done. And yeah, it's just not really ever been my go-to sauropod. It's always been like, I don't know, Brachiosaurus or a Panosaurus, something like that. Yeah, unfortunately for good old Dreadnoughtus, but you know, he's alright. You know, he's alright. Anyway, moving on. The second Stegosaurus. Now, I'll be honest with you. I used to like the Gigant Spinosaurus a lot more than I do in this game. I don't necessarily think it's anything to do with the skins, because if anything, they've gotten better. But to be fair, in the original, they had some bangers, so it was pretty difficult. But they followed up well, I think. But I just think that their niche has kind of fell a little bit flat now. I think they look a whole lot less imposing now they're a bit smaller. I would have probably kept Gigant Spinosaurus at the kind of size they were, to make them look a little bit more imposing. Don't get me wrong, the shoulder spikes are cool, but now they look a little bit ridiculous on the smaller creature. And the other thing is, I used to not like Kentrosaurus, and that helped Gigant Spinosaurus, and I kind of overlooked Gigant Spinosaurus. But I like Kentrosaurus a lot more in this game now, and so Gigant Spinosaurus has to fall, unfortunately. But I do like certain aspects, so, you know, he has that going for him. And he's a Stegosaurus, so I have a soft spot for him. Now, moving on, the final D tier creature. Can you guess what it will be? I'll give you 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It is the Archaeopteryx. Now, the reason why Archie does so low is, well, the simple fact that in the original, we didn't really need another Ornithomimid. And if we did, I think there were more notable names than Archaeopteryx, like Ornithomimus, maybe even Deinocheirus, but not Ornithomimus, unfortunately. So not Archaeopteryx. The skin systems are alright. I'm not crazy on them like other people are. I don't think they look as cool, personally. They look better than the original, don't get me wrong, but they don't look quite as good as my opinion that other people think they are, but it's my opinion. This one looks pretty cool, actually, I'm not gonna lie. Like, the tail, I like that tail pan, that blue going into that white, that looks pretty sick. But the design's not that interesting. It's my least favourite out of the Ornithomimid group. I would like to see another Ornithomimid now, maybe like Ornithomimus. If they could do something pretty cool, I'd like to see one. But I wouldn't like prioritize or anything. And Archaeopteryx my least favourite. I'm glad it isn't the deluxe this time, because it definitely is not deserving of a DLC creature. If anything, it should have been in the base roster, and then maybe put like Struffimus, because Struffimus is the better designed one. But yeah, anyway, that was my D tier ranking. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, comment, and subscribe.